Okay, so welcome. So today we're going to talk about starting the Med Instead of Meds series. So I really welcome you guys. We're just really committed in the cooperative extension to, help citizens gain the knowledge that they need to just prepare simple, delicious, healthy meals for your family. And so this is right at the core of that. And so North Carolina, actually, they helped design this program, and I have a couple good friends who work there, and I was just like, I really like how they did it and things like that, and I love the talking points and different things. So I just wanted to offer it here, and I'm really glad you guys came. They've found some good results with people who take the class. So I hope you really like it. So the first session is it's like sets the tone for the class. So just I encourage you. There's a chat box, and so you can also speak up if you would like. I might have to mute people if there's like a dog or something, but otherwise, feel free to just ask questions or tell me maybe a story about how it worked with you. And then we're going to do those 2 recipes afterwards. And I just really hope you enjoyed as much as I did. So first things first. Okay, so I just wanted you to know, like, 2/3. Oh, sorry. 2/3 chronic disease, such as diabetes and heart disease, can be prevented by lifestyle changes, specifically diet and exercise. So that's pretty a big range there. So research has shown that the connection between lifestyle and chronic disease, such as diabetes and heart disease, for quite some time, but it's been proved like that you can move people in the right direction by making lifestyle changes, and that you can decrease your risk of chronic disease. But we still see like the chronic disease rising. So our goal is to help people start eating and moving in a way that will help prevent chronic disease. So yeah. So maybe there's some reasons why it's hard to change, which we really recognize. Like, some reasons it's too hard. People feel it's too hard to just, start eating healthier, too confused about, like sometimes with nutrition, we keep changing our minds, it seems like. So just kind of, some people are like, just forget it. Too expensive. People are concerned that it's too expensive to eat healthy, not delicious. People, that's the number one reason people choose foods is based on taste. And so it's like, if you don't think it's delicious, you might choose something else, and not enough time. Just people feel really, like, don't have time and limited cooking skills. Culinary literacy is at an all-time low right now. So for these reasons, people feel stuck when it comes to eating healthy, but it doesn't have to be that difficult. And so that's kind of my job, and why I love my job, is that maybe I can help people find how they can do it in their lives. So, we'll talk about some of the reasons that you might want to, try to do all these, eat healthy, even though there's all these barriers. But I just wanted to show you on the next 6 slides, just some things that, just to like kind of help you remember, it doesn't have to be complicated to eat better. So, and you're worth it, right? So just eat this, and then you would want to eat a lot of this. This is really good. And then eat this, and this, some of this, and then, but mostly just eat this. So these are the things, like, just think about it as not complicated. These are the main things. Like, if we can eat, there's still room for other stuff if you love sweets or something like that, but this is like our core. And so it doesn't have to be daunting or challenging, and we can do fresh, frozen, canned, they all work. But we're just going to explore now more about like how you can eat the Mediterranean way and some of the benefits. So as the intro, that's what we're doing. And then from these lessons on, then we'll focus on particular point. Like, so next week is protein. So we'll kind of talk about more about the protein and like some swaps that you could make and some easy hacks. So pans or pills, this is kind of like what we get to decide. So we have options on how we can approach chronic disease prevention and control in our society and our lives. So it's like either pans or pills. Some diseases or conditions that you might have, talking to your doctor, you might need pills, but the pans can do a lot to take the place of the pills by what we cook. So eating the Mediterranean way, instead of relying on medicine to address chronic disease, it's just research consistently shows that the Mediterranean diet is highly effective in preventing and controlling chronic disease. Furthermore, it's not only healthy, but it's delicious. I get an email every about, every day. I guess it's called a smart brief. And just as a dietitian, I get that and look over it, and they'll talk about different diets and what they might be doing for you. Like keto diet, can help with weight loss, but we don't know long-term effects, which might be one of them that we'd say. But I constantly see the Mediterranean diet there, but only with benefits. It's just crazy. It's like your Mediterranean diet might help, with Alzheimer's, might reduce the risk of diabetes, help with chronic heart disease. And so it's just always positive. And so that's why I just think, if we could get a little more on board with that, just in America, just could help us a lot. So moving on from there. So eating the Mediterranean way. So what does it look like? So it incorporates the basics of healthy eating that were traditional in the countries that border the Mediterranean Sea. So this eating pattern is not necessarily how people are eating there now. Things have changed, but it's kind of like the traditional way. So following that traditional pattern of eating has been shown to promote health and decrease the risk of many chronic diseases. So there's key components. And so eating lots of fruits and vegetables, that's pretty much the core. It's lots of all shapes, colors. This is the core of Mediterranean eating. And then eating whole grains. So we got those, and trying to make all or most of your grains whole. And then beans and legumes. So make these plant proteins. These would be your to-go to get protein. And I also have a handout that I will make sure to send you guys, and it has 7 simple steps on that. And so it'll talk about these things. And I'll try to it would be smart to send the handout earlier. So I'll do that from now on. Okay, so then eating fish and seafood at least two to 3 times a week. So that's about where they eat it. And then nuts and seeds, you'd be choosing nuts and seeds as snacks in addition to meals. So, where you might have pretzels, instead of pretzels, you'd have nuts and seeds. Kind of like there's a lot of benefits behind those. So replacing solid fats, such as butter, with healthy fats, especially olive oil. So you want to choose olive oil for most of your cooking needs. So that's how you'd switch it. When you would use butter, if you can see how you could normally use olive oil instead. Flavor food with herbs and spices and reduce salt use, and then drinking red wine in moderation. So up to 1 glass a day for women and 2 glasses for men, and that's optional. That's if you don't drink now, don't start. So it also recognizes the importance of physical activity. So staying active throughout your day, or just moving and enjoying meals. So that's really important too, just sharing meals with family and friends, and then limiting added sugar. So, particularly from sugar sweetened beverages, baked goods, and processed foods. So in America, most of our sugar comes from sugary drinks. So if you guys are doing that, that can be a huge difference in your life. Okay, so we got those. So that is the Mediterranean way in a nutshell. So where does the Mediterranean stand on these superfoods? So, sometimes a good way to judge a diet is that healthy foods like fruits and vegetables and are really good for you. And so if the diet is cutting back on those things, you might want to question it. So you can see this diet or this way of lifestyle, it lines up with the dietary guidelines, which what we know is good. And you eat lots of fruits and vegetables, it's the cornerstone. Then you eat nuts and seeds, and they're associated with decreased weight, believe it or not. Sometimes you think, well, nuts have a lot of calories, but people who eat more nuts, they actually have associated with lower weights and chronic disease. And they're included whole grains, olive oil, and other plant oils. And so there's beneficial mono and polyunsaturated fats in those oils. And they're part of the Mediterranean way. So we make sure we can include those. And beans and legumes, they have a ton of benefits. Also fish and seafood, and encourages that also. So then sugar, the Mediterranean way is a low sugar diet, way of eating. So it's kind of like, using fruit instead of having cake all the time or something like that. And then it's low in red and processed meats too. So it's not much red meat, and limited things like processed meats such as sausage and bacon and cold cuts, and also limit solid fats. So butter and lard. So less of those things, and then highly processed foods. So it's more of just kind of how you would get it naturally, closer to that than the really processed way. Okay. So then I also have to say, it's not just a flavor profile. And so that's just something, I think sometimes I even forget about. its Mediterranean way isn't based on it's based on how people historically ate in the Mediterranean region. It's not necessarily reflective of what they're eating now. So the Mediterranean dishes can actually fit into any flavor profile, which is really cool if you think about it. So say you like Indian, we're actually making that dish today. That's pictured there. But it's just like heavy on fruits and vegetables, things like that. If that dish is, then it could be considered a Mediterranean like flavor, like a Mediterranean something you'd be eating the Mediterranean way, even if you're eating like Mexican, if you ate that. So it could be Indian, Mexican, or just delicious. Um, it's can fit into all those flavor profiles. So basically, it's defined as what is in what you're eating. So um, yeah, you're looking for those things we talked about, the fruits and the vegetables, is it made with olive oil? Does it have like some beans in it or lentils? And so usually you wouldn't have that much red meat in something that would be considered like eating the Mediterranean way. But it's kind of cool that you could eat all these different flavors. It doesn't have to be necessarily, something that you might consider a Mediterranean style dish. So that's just important for, if we're doing this for a long time, like for our lives, just trying to change over, just knowing that you can have all different kinds of foods. So typical Italian or Greek dishes are not always consistent with the Mediterranean way. And so that's just something to point out. We're doing mostly whole grains on the Mediterranean and kind of less cheese. It's more of a cheese for flavor versus like here's cheese as the main event. And same with red meat. You might go to a Greek restaurant and might have something like the bottom picture with the Greek, that's not traditional of the Mediterranean diet. So just looking at, the dish and if it's high in fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and things like that, whole grains, you're probably doing pretty well. So, yeah, and sprouted beans, I just see the question really good. Yeah. So Mediterranean way is not about taking one component of the diet, such as olive oil, and adding it to foods that are not consistent with the Mediterranean way. So you see how these guys are trying to sell you with the olive oil here, and so that doesn't make it the Mediterranean way. So nice try. And then just like thinking about cooking and eating real food is kind of what we're going for. And then I know people are busy too and stuff, and you might be like getting on these things sometimes, like going out to eat or having chips or whatever, but it's just like the majority of what we eat, if we can just make it a little bit more like the Mediterranean, that's where we want to go. So I don't want you to feel like like guilty if you had something else, but it's just like that the other ways will just help you feel better and improve your health. So here it is again, like oh, these fries were made with olive oil. You're like, oh well then. So it's not like that. So not olive oil is an important way, but pouring it on top of a typical American diet is not the way to go. And so this is these would be kind of the key foods then. It's all in the food choices that make up the Mediterranean way. So yeah, I sent you that pre-survey and it was just kind of to get an idea on, kind of like looking at it and seeing where you are now, kind of asks, how many tablespoons of olive oil do you use a day? Do you eat nuts and seeds ever? And just kind of seeing, like then after this class, if you notice any difference. And we'll just go into some of the benefits then now. So before we do that, I just wanted to show you these two pyramids. One was from the ECU School of Medicine and one's from Old Ways, but this is like the Mediterranean pyramid. You know how we used to have the American pyramid, but then here they're just kind of showing the base would be physically active and enjoying meals with others. So that's really, the base of it. It's just having fun with other people and moving sometimes. And so just having that as the base. And then from there, when you get hungry, fruits and vegetables, try to choose grains that are mostly whole, olive oil, beans, nuts, legumes, and seeds, herbs and spices. So you'd be using herbs and spices instead of salt. And then fish and seafood. So those are like at least two to three times a week. And then the poultry, eggs, cheese, and yogurt. So that would be like, just small portions daily or weekly, not very much. And then at the top, we have meats and sweets. It helps because they rhyme. So those two are the ones just you'd want to do less, hardly, maybe 1 or 2 times a month, which is very different than a lot of times we end up eating in America. So just, just because these things are all benefiting us, and that's why these are a good way to go. And so then we also, for the MyPlate. We came out with MyPlate for the United States Dietary Guidelines for Americans, and it was like about a fourth vegetables, fourth fruits, fourth protein, and fourth grains. And these guys broke it down even more to make like a Mediterranean one. So they were just saying, mostly vegetables, including fruits. And then when you're having grains, if you can try to make whole grains. And then healthy proteins and using oils like olive oil. And that's not in our MyPlate, but they talk about that in the dietary guidelines. So it's really just that would be kind of more of a plate with the Mediterranean. The DASH diet, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but it's a dietary approach to stop hypertension is what it stands for. So if you have a high blood pressure, some doctors will recommend this because it works. And what it is, it's very similar to the Mediterranean diet. It's the way they do it. What they've found with their studies is they use lower fat, but it's cool because the Mediterranean diet has a lot of benefits even with higher fat. So you can go that way and have satiety and things like that. And then the dietary guidelines, they also say, right in the guidelines for Americans, they say, like if you can either eat like maybe a US style healthy eating style, and they kind of give you some ideas on that. And then the other one is the Mediterranean style, and they have vegetarian. So they recognize like there's these three that they know really work, and so they actually are including the Mediterranean. It's like you can go that way. There's multiple ways you can kind of eat and be healthy, but here's like one that really works. If you kind of want to go towards that, that'll help you a lot. So when I say go med or eating the Mediterranean way, that's just similar to consistent with the evidence-based dietary guidelines, which is just good to know we're all on the same page here. So why should you go med? So like if you look at this, it's delicious and it's evidence-based. So the floato on this slide, it's oven roasted vegetables, and I believe this is on the website. But isn't that fun? Like just how it's just vegetables tossed in olive oil, but it really brings out the sweetness in them, and it strongly supports association between positive health outcomes and the Mediterranean way. So there's a lot of evidence with that, in that it helps prevent many chronic diseases, and you'll see that it can really help with that stuff. So one of them is decreases the risk of some forms of cancer. So like the ones that they found the most evidence behind is it decreases the risk of colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer. And then so strong compliance with the Mediterranean style eating pattern associated with overall cancer, reduced overall cancer mortality. So 10% less on that colorectal cancer, 14%, prostate cancer, 4%, and digestive cancer, 56%. And then there's also the reduced risk of breast, gastric, pancreatic, liver, and head and neck cancer. And it can be associated with that Mediterranean style of eating. So, and if you would like references, I have all those too. So eating the Mediterranean way is also better. How we kind of, in America, we seem to go on crazes with different things. So sometimes it's the low fat diet, sometimes it's like the low carb diet or whatever. But they've just, one thing that can work is that this has been found to be better than a low fat diet for weight loss. Maybe why is just, when we made things low fat, sometimes like salad dressings or cookies or something like that, we ended up adding things in like sugars, like extra sugar instead. So it's like zero fat, but might have a lot of sugar. And so we found that those things that they added back in place of the fat, aren't good for us either. And so just, trying to do something like the Mediterranean way, it's, it has satiety, which helps, sometimes the fat can help us feel satisfied. And there's a mouthfeel too that helps carry the flavor profile. And so that's why, people can find that they can stay like eating this way for life and they can really enjoy it. So we just have to abandon the notion that it's always like has to be low fat. Like my favorite example is peanut butter. Like when I first was learning about nutrition, I bought the low fat peanut butter. You know how they have that? And so I was like, okay, so this is what this is the way to go. But I was looking at them and they were the same calories, or the other one, low fat, could have been more, but it was like had more sugar and, took away had the same amount of saturated fat, but it just basically took away the good fat. And so I was like, wait a second, and so you think you're doing the right thing, but sometimes that's like, I guess eating the natural foods could have been the hint for me. But there's it's also can help with weight loss more than the other kinds of diets. So it's up to even 42% of your calories being total fat didn't increase weight. So it's really like the components that you're eating and things like that, or what you're eating. So eating the Mediterranean way, then it's like a diet. So this is rich in healthy fats, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, and low and red meats, processed foods, and added sugars, better than a low-fat diet for weight loss, especially for overweight and obese individuals. And so up to 42% did not increase weight gain. And my intern Amanda, she's on the call today too, and she's going to help me. But just we were talking because we had seen a study, and it's showed 3 different weight loss. So it's showed the low carb diet, which is very popular now. It showed the Mediterranean way, and then it showed like people eating a low fat diet. And so what happened is everybody initially lost weight, and then like over time, so it was a 2-year study. So it's over time, it was hard to stick with some of them. So like the low fat diet went back up, and both the low carb and then the Mediterranean kind of stayed about at the same for weight loss. And so, we don't know what's going to happen after 2 years, but I'm just trying to say that, like if you do like some carbs, this is a really pleasant way of eating, and you don't have to cut out things. With, I guess I'm telling you to reduce your red meat, but it'll be really good for your heart. And so it kind of benefits with the health too. So I vote for this one. So nearly 9 out of 10 people are worried about consuming fat. So just despite the evidence that there is like really good benefits of unsaturated fat, we just have to remember that, it's the kind of fat that we're eating. So we must abandon that notion that leads to weight loss, because it found like, the Mediterranean diet, which doesn't really cut fat like that, can reduce weight. So one of the things that I really love about this one, and kind of convinces me, is just it prevents it against cognitive decline. And I feel like as I get older, I'm knowing more and more people who have some sort of dementia or things like that. But it really, eating this way helps protect against cognitive decline by protecting the small blood vessels in the brain that help deliver blood flow to the entire system. So research has found a 40% lower risk in developing Alzheimer's disease among those who eat the Mediterranean way. And additional research is like continuing to study to try to see what the protective effects are on the cognitive decline. So it's nice to know that, you can eat really good foods and, still help your brain too. So it also can improve eye health, including decreasing the risk of macular degeneration. So it's associated with that. And particularly the possibility of delaying, or lessening the impact of aging on eye health. So it's kind of like, just helps you age slower to be something like this. It also decreases the risk of type 2 diabetes, so eating more that way. And that's a major health concern in the US. So if we can get more people on board with the Mediterranean type of way, it's better than a low-fat diet for diabetes too. One study found that the risk of developing type 2 diabetes was cut in half by eating the Mediterranean way. And you might be like, okay, so why? It's just particularly probably due to the decrease in the body weight resulting in the Mediterranean way of eating. So a lot of people, sometimes do end up losing weight, and that can help the insulin work better and things like that. And also can have protective effects that help people avoid the development of diabetes. Then it can also help manage blood pressure. This is another one of my favorite ones. It's okay, so blood pressure is a known risk factor for developing cardiovascular disease. That's the #1 killer in the US, so we don't want that. And so eating the Mediterranean way can reduce high blood pressure, and that help reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. It's really interesting. The Mediterranean way can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease as much as 30 to 60%. So that would be really good too. So it's basically helping us all around. If we can just try to choose some things more this way, pretty cool. So full adoption of the modern version of the Mediterranean eating pattern, so that'd be what we're teaching, can be considered one of the most effective approaches for the prevention of fatal and non-fatal cardiovascular disease complications. This is one of the things I see on that Smart Brief, like, news headlines, research study things that have come out. It's really great for your heart. So variety studies talk about that. And then just of interest, it's like if you want to get to that 60%, they said that consuming 9 or more servings of fruits and vegetables a day resulted in 60% reduction in cardiovascular disease. So like the takeaway from that would just be like, if you can eat more fruits and vegetables, it'll really help you with cardiovascular disease. And you might think like 9, you're like, how am I going to do that? But you could just, half a banana is 1 serving. 4th cup of raisins is 1 serving. So you could kind of see how you could get to 9, and then, have an apple as a snack, and have a salad for dinner with, some broccoli for lunch, and you would be pretty close. So it's kind of, it's possible and nice. So just review quick about eating what the Mediterranean way looks like, and then we'll break it down the rest of the weeks, kind of just focus specifically on the best of the best. So eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Remember that whole grains, beans and legumes for most of your proteins, and then nuts and fish can also give you nuts and seeds can also give you more fish too. Having fish 2 to 3 times a week, so you put that on the menu, and then replacing solid fats with the olive oil, and then cooking with herbs instead of so much salt, and then thinking of red wine would be one. And some people ask me, red wine. What about white wine? And so one of the experts who's done a lot of studies was asked that also. And so she just said that a lot of the studies have been done on red wine, the resveratrol that's in red wine. So so she was just saying, that's where we have all the evidence, and the other one might not be like harmful or anything, but just we know that the red wine does have a pretty good impact. So that's kind of why we say what red wine specifically is. That's what the evidence is based on. And then being active throughout the day, staying active and just trying to do things that you enjoy when you move, and sharing meals with families. So that would be kind of that component of just, being present at your meals. So just like, like wolfing it down. And so that can really help, because it helps us like increase satiety and feel satisfied after we eat. And then trying to limit added sugars, is because we know those don't have any benefits, so we can get better stuff. So what sets apart the Mediterranean way from other eating patterns? So like, why should you choose a Mediterranean one? It's simple, delicious, and satisfying. So, delicious, it uses healthy fats, spices, herbs, and aromatics to make the food delicious. And then it's satisfying because it has that healthy fat and whole grains and fruits and vegetables, and those are satisfying. Same with nuts and seeds, and then the healthy fats. And like what I was saying is, fat does carry the flavor sometimes. So like you can get like deeper flavor. Sometimes the fat brings that out. So how do you eat the Mediterranean way? So these are the steps that we're going to talk about on the next, all of the next classes then. So there's these 7 steps, and we're going to just do like 1 or 2 each week. So these are: change your protein, swap your fats, eat more vegetables, eat more fruits, snack on nuts and seeds, make your grains whole, and then rethink your sweets. So that will give you some good ideas on that. And so we'll try to do the recipes based on those then. And what I'll do is I'll send you the 7 simple steps to eating the Mediterranean way handout after this class, making a note. And then you'll have that. So there's some handouts to go along with this. And also there's a website too. It's Med Instead of Meds, and that's where I'm going to be getting most of my recipes. And so if you guys, it's like MED and then instead of meds.com. And so if you guys have any recipes that you see on there that you'd like me to make in one of the classes, you can send me an email, or you send me an email, and I would be happy to try to get that in there. I know some people have food allergies too, so I'll be trying to think of ways you could modify it also. So we'll also go in like, in those PowerPoints, Mediterranean flips then. So transfer popular foods into Mediterranean way dishes. So it's like, here we have, instead of a burger, we have like a salmon burger or a tuna burger, things like that. And after that, practical advice for living the Mediterranean way. So we'll be talking about tips and ideas. So just how you can do that. And then the life hacks. So quick and easy techniques to make going the Mediterranean way easier. So it's not like I'm just going to push you out there so try to do this now. So, that's what the class is for, is just going through on seeing how you could make easy changes to what you're already eating that you can enjoy. One person, she was just saying, so she's like, less butter, right? So she actually has started taking bread, like in making toast, and she'll put like drizzle like olive oil on it instead, just like she's like, I just use like a teaspoon. And but it's just like, it gives it kind of a flavor and instead of the butter. And she's found that really works for her and is really delicious. So it's like if I can find something for each of you, where you have it, just I'd love to help improve your health anyway. And then mindful eating and the Mediterranean way. So that is something too, that we're just talking about. I'm just thinking, I don't know, have any of you guys, I don't know if you can write in the chat, if any of you have ever done that raisin activity where you put a raisin in your mouth and you have it in your mouth for a long time and you're like thinking about the raisin, you're like feeling like the texture and things like that. Has anybody done that? Nope. Okay, so I was just, that is a good thing. If you guys were all in my class, I'd be giving you a raisin right now. But just like, it's interesting. I've done it with a Hershey Kiss too, which is, whichever way you feel is more pleasant. But just putting it in your mouth and really noticing, noticing the raisin and how it feels in your mouth and like the taste of it and the flavor and the firmness and things like that. And so when you're eating, just, if you can try to think about that stuff when you're eating, you'll be more satisfied. It's kind of like slowing down and just being like, okay, this food is delicious. That's awesome. So just being mindful like that can taking a moment, I guess, can really help. So here's that website I was telling you about, Med Instead of Meds. So they have recipes on there. And so that's where I got the 2 that we're making today. And I'm probably going to pick most of them from out of there. I was going to see kind of like how you guys like these first 2. And then, every group is different. So we'll just see what you're interested in. And so if you do have something you'd like to make in the class, let me know. I'm open to ideas. And so a lot of them I'll try to do with the theme of the class. So there's like whole grain. So there's a banana pancake that I was thinking, or that would be a good fruit one too. So yeah, we got options. Okay, so one recipe idea would be the green beans with lemon zest. And so you can find this on the Mediterranean recipes. And then we have sauteed squash and onions. I was talking to some people in North Carolina about this, and they were giving me reviews on all the things. People like this. They find this easy. I love the idea of doing it in the colored stripes. I had, it's like, it looks really appealing that way. This one apparently was a hit, so I say we do that one in class. Try that sometime. Curry quinoa salad. So quinoa is a complete protein. You don't remember the mushroom almond burger, so that's what we're making today. And then the other one is fruit chaat. It rhymes with dot, so it's chaat. And so it's an Indian kind of snack. And so it's a fruit salad, but it actually has sweet potato in it too. So it kind of makes it fun. And then here's those pancakes I was talking about. I think we should make sometime banana oatmeal pancakes. And so that's what we have for the Mediterranean way right now. So right now I have the 2 food demos, and then we have the class next week. But before I go and switch to the food demo part, do you guys mind if you can get into the chat, or if you'd like to say out loud, I would love to hear like where you're from originally. It seems like a lot of people are from all over. It's just interesting to hear where you guys grew up, or if you're original Floridians. Do you mind writing in the chat for me? You can get an idea. Like if we were in class together, I would love to just go around the room and talk about everything. It's kind of hard in this situation. 5th generation Floridian. That's awesome. Floridian too. Florida, Palm Beach, Maryland, we got one. Seattle, Indiana. Okay, Mexico. From Peru. That's awesome. I'm a little behind, obviously. New York. Yeah. I'm from Minnesota, and they're having. My dad was calling me a couple of days ago. They were in a blizzard warning. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Talking to Florida. I don't know if you guys can read them. St. Pete, also England. New York, spent 35 years in Florida, originally from Pennsylvania, 40 years. UK, that's Melanie, thanks. Pennsylvania. Thank you guys very much. I hope I'll be able to learn more about you. Does anybody have any questions before we switch to the food demo part? I just think not right now.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Um, on the olive oil, I don't know what study it was. It was somebody like Consumer Reports or something like that,
Yeah.
or Kitchen Studies that said about 95% of the imported olive oil is from Italian mafia that makes money. It's their kind of drug money that they get in a legit way. And somehow they did this study where they put it in the fridge or freezer and they can tell if it's pure olive oil or not. And the thing that they came out with is they said one of the ones that we can get at like Publix and Target and stuff that was like an actual one was this called California Olive Ranch. Have you heard of it?
You said the ones at Publix and Target are the ones from olives, like the olive plant. Is that what you said?
Oh, sorry, I thought I had the video on. It's this
Oh,
California Olive Ranch. Can you see it?
okay. California Olive Branch, the brand you're saying, right?
Oh, I think it froze.
Yeah, what I read
I
was
don't
that
know.
if it is
It froze on me.
California, they are one of the few places that have regulations that you know you're getting what you think you're getting.
Ah, I see.
That makes sense too. I think I went to a whole talk on the olive oil. There's this lady who she actually goes and rates olive oil. That's her job. It's people test wine or like there's something in there. I can't even say it, but she's like somebody who goes and tests wine and things like that, and she can tell the like how good of a wine it is by like the mouthfeel and the flavor and things like that. And that's her job is basically to go and try to like test these and stuff. And I think we have to kind of balance, like sometimes people say, price, the higher the price, the more likely it is it's a better one, which can be true. But then I've also heard in different places that, it's also not necessarily true. You can find lower cost ones. And so I would say, with this, maybe what you guys said, that could be true. I don't know. But also just thinking, whatever is affordable to you, because it's still a lot better than the other things like that we're choosing out there. So I think that would be a great choice. Um, and Roxana said, "Do you think eating seeds may have a good idea? People have stomach digestive sensitivity. So, have you guys heard of diverticulitis?
Yes.
Okay, so there's diverticulosis, which is when you have it, or when you're not inflamed. So when you're inflamed with it, it would not be a good idea to have it. So the itis, when you're like having a really big problem. But I think yes, definitely. They found that people who have those type of stomach digestive diseases, it actually helps because they have a lot of fiber and they can help improve the digestive tract. So I'm not your doctor, and so maybe you have a different case, but just like from a dietitian view, like the nuts and seeds, there's never like, oh, and people who have stomach problems or something shouldn't eat these. Like it's never, you never hear that. It's not like that. And are dates considered a good Mediterranean diet food? And that would be yes, I would say. Yeah, and again, we're just looking at their fruits and vegetables, so they would be great, great choice. Are sprouted beans good or whole beans better? So the sprouted beans, what they do if you sprout your beans is that makes them more absorbable and sometimes can help release some of more of the nutrients. So when you absorb something, you're digesting something. The sprouts make it so that the vitamins are more accessible to your body. So like we're going to get like a good amount of nutrients from the beans, but then we can maybe get a little bit more out of it if we sprout them. And so that's why there's that Ezekiel bread. It's like the sprouted grains and things like that. So people have found that can be you might be able to absorb more nutrients, and that's what's behind that then. And so coconut oil, so that one that's like the dietitian controversy. So basically, it's very high in saturated fat, and so my mom says it's high in MCT oils too, which are something that we need, but it's not. The majority is still saturated fat. So their studies have been unconclusive. There's some that have showed it could have benefits. There's some that show it doesn't help at all, and so we're kind of still like kind of in a neutral platform on that. And just with its saturated fat content, what most of the experts are saying is that just use it just when you want that coconut flavor, but don't make it your main fat. So like olive oil, we know has benefits and no bad things. Or so if you can choose that most of the time, and then just coconut oil sometimes, and then feel free to use it on your face. my intern said she tried it on her hair, but it just doesn't really wash out. So she's like, I don't really recommend that. But those can be some great things. So, oh, that's cool. She said original family from Italy, and I follow some of those ways. So let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else. Thank you, guys. Okay, so all my relatives in Italy grow the olives for olive oil, and it has such a different taste. Seriously, oh, that's so. How do we get your families? That's what I need to know, right? Did they sell it overseas? Roseanne was just saying that she has relatives that grow the olive oil. Maybe we can take a class trip. Pretty good.
Yeah, they ship it to the US.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Have you
But
ever
it's
seen it out here, or would we order it online for something like that?
No, they ship it to us privately, but it's in the big gallons, and we have to buy about 5 gallons, so we split it between all of us.
That's really cool. They say,
Yeah.
you know, like the extra virgin one, that's like part of the fun is like the extra virgin you don't really cook with. Olive oil you can actually fry with, which some people don't know, but like the extra virgin, it just is so good for salad dressings because it has that, there's like a really good olive oil flavor. So that's really cool. Okay, well, I will quick switch my computer and move over to the kitchen. And so if you can give me like a 2-minute intermission, I would love that. And I'll get the mushroom burgers going and stuff. So thank you, guys. Looks like I need to leave Greece, guys. Let's see. Not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. See if we can get this to work. Okay. Let's see. Looks okay. Thank you guys for working with me. All right, I think we got it. So you can see. So yeah, okay. Your way to arrange that differently. Well, you can definitely see that it's not quite a real kitchen, but that's okay. All right, you guys can work with me. Yeah, that definitely does not work. I would have to figure out something. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, so we have like ingredients here. Let me see, should I bend it? Can you bend it down a little bit?
Yeah.
So I have Amanda with me. She's helping me, or maybe try to yes, so they can see. It like cuts off your head, but okay, we're gonna work on this. Better for next time, guys. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I washed everything, right? We washed the mushrooms, we cut them, washed the green onions, and here just if you didn't know, these are green onions. They're called the same as scallions. So you just use the green part. I didn't really want to waste, so I use a little bit of the white part. So Amanda and I will have to eat the white part in there too. But those are the green onions. And so you can use like just a scissors to cut those, and that works pretty well. So the first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna get the sweet potato cooking. So I'm gonna poke it and put it in the microwave. So I washed it already. So we're gonna poke it, and then she's gonna throw in the microwave for, let's try 5 minutes. Probably less. It's gonna need less. 4. We have a small sweet potato, but whatever you guys have, if you want to do that. I know some of you are cooking along, but maybe all of you will cook along next time, so then you guys won't be watching me as much, and then that'll be great. Okay, so what we're gonna do then is start the other thing. So I have a plug-in in my real kitchen. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add. So we have the chopped almonds here, and I have the mushrooms and the oats. And so what we're gonna do is toast the almonds and oats in the dry skillet, stirring frequently. So we're gonna put these in there. We got nuts and the oats. And then I'm gonna turn this. It's working. That's a good sign. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just kind of toast those until they smell a little bit, and then we'll know they're toasted. So use your nose on this one. If you had COVID and lost that, I would say maybe 2 and 3 minutes or so. So, okay, so while that is going, once that is done, we're gonna do a tablespoon of olive oil. And then we're going to, so we've got olive oil. Let's see where mine's from. It says it's packed in Italy, but it's also from Greece, Spain, could have some Turkey. So it's interesting now that you have me looking. I'll have to do some research on that. So 1 tablespoon. If you don't have a tablespoon, it's about equal to your thumb there. And we'll be putting that in there. And then we'll be throwing the mushrooms in. So we need about 1.5 cups. We had whole mushrooms just so that they would last longer. Do you ever get the cut onions or cut mushrooms and then you're like, they're just already bad? So we just got the whole ones and cut them ourselves. And then we'll add the green onions with that. So these two will go together. So we have 1/2 cup of the green onions. And what we'll do then is cook those two together until they are dry. So get this thing. If you guys were cooking along, you'd be doing this slow process with me. It's kind of smelling though, actually. You smell it, Amanda?
A little bit.
Okay. So I'm gonna put it in a bowl. You wanna grab like this one? Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Because really everything else is gonna go in this bowl anyway, so this should be good. So we got those toasted. For some reason, I just had in my mind, you realize we're toasted oats like the brand? It's fun. Okay, so we got some olive oil. Here's a tablespoon. That in there. And we're gonna throw in green onions. And then we're doing 1.5 cup of mushrooms. We didn't really measure just to see how close we were, but sounds good. The thing about mushrooms is they have some moisture. They're, I think, 80, 90% water. So then they don't freeze very well because they have a lot of water, but they also can cook down and release a lot of water. So for this recipe, we don't want them releasing all the water in the burgers. So that's why we're cooking them ahead of time. I'm going to stick a knife in this sweet potato.
I have a quick question. What
Yeah.
temperature are you putting the pan on to cook those?
It's like medium high.
Okay.
So that's what I'm at. For this, it's digital. It actually says 425. So I might have to turn it down. We'll see what happens. Here. Pretty good. Yeah. Awesome. You know, we bought 8 ounces of mushrooms, but 1.5 cups is about that. So we're just going to leave a little bit of extra, but you could dump the whole thing in. I've tried the recipe before, and I think it's pretty forgiving. So you guys can tell me. Got that. So while that is going, might turn it down a little bit. So we just need to cook these until no moisture remains in them. It could be 5 to 7 minutes. So while that is going, I'm going to take that sweet potato that just got done and peel it and cut it. And so, make it rounded. Oh, then would you grab the eggs? I have to show you guys something. Now's a good time. Okay, so I don't have an egg separator. And I don't know if you do, but my intern Amanda showed me this trick. So we need 3 egg whites, I believe. Let me check. Yes, thank you. I can have you do it. Oh, I haven't done it in a long time. Okay, so we have the eggs, right? So we break them in the bowl. Okay, so I have 3 eggs in here. I'm gonna move that bottle. Okay, so you can see the eggs. I have to show you this. So it's online too, and my intern Amanda showed it to me. So you take a water bottle and you kind of crimp it, and then if you, I don't know, can't really see it. Okay. So it's got the yolk. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I'm sorry, but like they did not teach us this in school. So this is if you had kids or something, I could do this all day. Isn't that cool? So you'll have to try that. But that's my new egg separator. A lady was telling me, you know, I used to always go back and forth. You know how you do it with an egg, and you just go back and forth until the yolk's in one and the white's in another. And she was saying, well, you can contaminate the edge of your egg with that outer edge. And so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna have to think of a different way then. Okay, so our mushrooms are getting there, guys. Okay, so they have the egg whites, and I'm going to grab that hand sanitizer there. Yeah. One thing I forgot, so I have egg hands. I don't really want to get that all over anything else. Ideal would be to wash your hands. I'm gonna do this really well. Okay. So then I'm gonna quick peel that sweet potato. And so a lot of the antioxidants are in the peel. So if you would like to leave the peel on for the salad, go for it. I know it might not be as aesthetically appropriate. So it's just coming right off. This is for the chot. This lady was talking about it, and I said, how do you say that? And she said, chot, rhymes with dot. So that helps you remember. Yeah, you got it. You can save this and eat this if you like. Put it in your next smoothie, or you can throw that away. You grab a paper towel too. The disadvantages of having a real sink back here, it's just things like washing off your knife and things like that. We have that all cut. I think we should just put it straight in the fruit bowl. You want to grab that fruit bowl? Grab the whites. These are coming. Look at how much they shrunk. Oh my gosh. I know, right? Okay, so we have sweet potato. That's hot. We're putting that. And then I say, the other thing that might take a second is the mango. So I was going to cut it ahead of time, but I decided I'll cut it for you guys and see it. Then you'll always feel better if you have trouble cutting a mango. So the best, So what you would want to do, there's a huge pit in the middle of this. And so you can tell mine is pretty ripe because, you kind of squeeze a little bit and it goes in, indents. So that you can also tell by the color, usually like the green ones will turn to a yellow and the other ones will turn to a red. But it's kind of hard to tell because this one looks pretty green. And so, but you can tell by how it sinks in, kind of like a pear, you know it's really ripe. So there's a huge pit in the middle. So I'm going to try to cut on each side of that. Here. There's also a way to do it with a glass. I don't even know if I have. You can get let's see. You grab that jar. I'm just gonna, there's multiple ways to try it, to do it, and I was just gonna see if I can show you a couple of them. So there's this huge, so I don't, you can also just use a drinking cup. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those on hand, but you just need a lid thing. So sometimes this will work, sometimes it won't. Kind of depends on how ripe it is. So then you take, and you don't want to cut through the skin. I did by accident a little bit. But the idea is you're making these little cubes, right? So then you can flip it out. And you have all these cubes. So then what you can do, one option is you can use the knife and kind of cut it away from you and cut the cubes off. Okay? So that's method number one. You're cutting the cubes off. Knife away from you. Like that. This is sometimes where I think about, so you don't really eat the peel. Some people actually have allergies to it just because I think it's related to latex or something. It has something on the outside of it. So here's the cubes, one option. The other option is to do that same thing or do it with a spoon, which you might find more comfortable where you can just scoop it out. So it kind of depends on how ripe your mango is, depend on if it will work. And I'm going to try it this way. It worked for me like twice and then did not work for me another time. So here's all the things, like you can see. And so what you can do is take a lid on a cup thing, on the edge of a cup, kind of cup it, and then ideally it all falls out. And so you wouldn't use a big jar because then you would have to wash this big jar, but you would just use a drinking cup and then you could do that. So we got mango here. We'll do that. And then all these cubes. So if you had a little time, you could try to get the rest of that on for a while. And then there's also some around the peel, and you can kind of see it's not a ton, but it's there. And I know that sometimes people take the peel or the pit and try to get more out of it. I've seen We used to work at a chef kitchen. Somebody in the back was doing that once. They were gnawing on the pit. Just gonna try with the rest. Mine could have been a little riper, I think. But the nice thing about if it's not too ripe is that the squares come out more firm. So it's kind of just however you want to eat it, I guess. I think our mushrooms are pretty good. We're ready to move on with that. Maybe before we do. Yes, it is. That's right. I knew it was something fun fact. Who said that? You know? You see? Janice? You know. All right. Janetta. Okay. At least she's a master gardener, so we'll take her first. All right, so let's see how we're doing here. Okay, so we have the oats and almonds. We have these guys, which are done, the green onions, and then the mushrooms. And then all we have to do is put them with, I'm gonna temporarily shut this off. You know, I have this griddle over there, but I don't even think I'm gonna use. Maybe we can just use this. So we're getting all the mushrooms out. Okay, so the idea is it says to let it cool. The main reason for that is we just don't want the eggs to cook before they get in there. So they're our binder. And so if we cook them before everything is bound together, then that's not going to help us. So they just said, you know, kind of let it cool. So I'm going to let it cool by mixing in the other ingredients. And so we need 1/2 cup cooked brown rice, which is in our fridge still. So we'll grab that. And then 1/3 shredded cheese. So basically you just add in everything else on that thing. So we got 1/3 shredded cheese. I'm gonna move the egg yolks so I don't put those in there. And you can definitely eat the egg yolks. There's certain recipes that call for just egg yolks. I'm not thinking of one right now, but so we got a 1/2 cup of, we cooked brown rice ahead of time. We just did the minute one. And I think, you know, I've made this before, and you can pretty much probably use any whole grain that you have on hand, which is kind of nice. And I actually know a friend, he was going to try using canned mushrooms, so I'll have to let you know if those work too. That would be another kind of shortcut. So we have the cheese in there, we have the brown rice in there, and then, okay, oh, it smells good. Okay, so let's see here. So we have brown rice, we have the cheese, we need the egg whites, the chopped herbs, and the breadcrumbs, and then salt and pepper to taste. So we got herbs. So what I did, we decided on cilantro. So we took some fresh cilantro and cut it up, but you don't have to, and you could also use just a sprinkle of something else. And then she's good. Okay, so then we need, was it a 1/2 cup? So we looked for whole wheat breadcrumbs in the store, and we found that they are kind of hard to find. And so I know some of the ladies in North Carolina who were doing, she was talking about all these recipes, and she was saying she just used crushed up crackers. And I was thinking, you know, I could do that, but then I ended up buying a box of crackers, and, you know, they're pretty processed too. So I was like, okay, so what I'm doing is this is what we had on hand. We had those Italian style breadcrumbs on hand. So that's what we're using. Panko would also work. So ideal is if we could find at the store whole wheat breadcrumbs, then you wouldn't have to go this route. So I think it's 1/2. And the thing is about these is that there's already salt in there, so I'm not going to add any more for sure. Okay, so we have that. The last thing we need is salt and pepper. So we're not adding salt. We got the herbs, the egg whites. Ooh, sorry. And then I'm going to start that up. So the nice thing is kind of like the rest of the ingredients kind of cooled everything off. So you can see it. Got it right there. And egg whites. Here we come. All right. Thank you so much. That's great. I've already decided. I think my intern Amanda might do at least one of the recipes next time because she'd have to be really good at it. should have had her do it this time too. I didn't really know how it was gonna go. So here you can kind of see the recipe says it might be kind of soupy, but I've made it before. This one, I actually made it yesterday just to kind of double check some things, and mine wasn't soupy yesterday either. So maybe they have, I don't know. Maybe I just really cooked my mushrooms extra dry. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna use that same pan. I also have a skillet here that you could use, but you can also bake these, but I'm just going to make them into patties and then I'll put them on that. It smells really good, which you guys can smell. You know, how long do you think it'll be till you can put smells through the computer? I'm thinking soon. Don't you guys think? We can do everything else. Okay. So we have everything pretty much in there. So we're just going to put the patties. Take a patty. So this is only ideal, like it says serving size 6. I found just when I made them even yesterday, I kind of liked having them smaller. And if you can have a double burger if you want. Oh, patty.
You have to put more oil in the pan.
You know, I didn't yesterday when I made them, so I was just going to see how it goes. And so you can add a drizzle or a spray if you'd like. I could see that being smart, but I'm just kind of going to see how it goes. And then it just says if you let them firm up a little bit, then it'll be easier to turn them. And the only thing that we have to worry about being cooked is the eggs. So the egg temperature cooks at 145. So we just want them to at least be 145. Can I cut these on this? Yeah, if you want to come in and have, that'd be great. So then we're just going to make the, what are we doing on time? Pretty good, okay. We're just going to make the chat, the rest of that. And these can kind of cook. Okay. Do the rest of these later. Okay, let me get my hands clean. So, while these are kind of cooking, I have a thermometer too. That over there or something. You see a black thing? Well, we'll get it when we're closer. We haven't even flipped them yet. So we have this is what we have for the Todd so far. So, choose chef if you grab the strawberries and the bananas. So, and the apple. So we have, well, we instead of grapes, we did a health fair on Friday last week, and we had extra strawberries left. So we're just going to use what we had instead of the grapes. We made chocolate covered black bean smoothies. I think people, had strawberries in them and bananas. So I think people liked them. They were surprised. So what we have is, I have an apple here that I just diced up. There are some apples that don't brown as fast as other apples. So if you think it'll be a while before you get to the salad, you can do that. But we're putting lime juice on it. So then we have the strawberries too. So we have a cup of those. And then we have 2 bananas. And they are from the health fair. So we put them in the fridge. So they'll look beautiful on the outside. But they don't look the same on the inside. That's a nice thing about the fridge. It's like a holding thing for them, at least for a little bit. Mix that up. And then find the red pepper.
Someone asked, would you want to put a little olive oil in the pan so that the burgers may not be so
So
dry?
yes,
In case.
and you could. she was just saying, about the olive oil in the pan, and could be the way to go.
If somebody wants the Susie recipe.
You guys are. So Amanda and I were modifying it, so you might have to, if you make it, you'll have to give us reviews because we think it needs a little more banana and a little less cocoa powder. Everyone's like, it's like dark chocolate cocoa powder, like smoothie banana, but you don't taste the beans at all. So if people don't like beans, it's a perfect recipe, but it did taste very chocolatey. One more paper towel if you don't mind. I'm realizing what I'm gonna need for next week. So like paper towel, probably like a hand soap thing. It's good. Thank you. Okay, let's check the garbage is helpful. Okay, so the only thing left on this we have the bananas in there, the apples in there, the mangoes in there, the strawberries instead of the grapes are in there. Then we have the sweet potatoes in there, and then 1 to 2 limes, salt, red chili powder, and black pepper. So the limes, let me check these guys. You can smell them. Yeah, you kind of see how it's brown on the other side? It's working. Perfect. I guess it also depends on if it's a non-stick pan or not, but they taste really good either way, olive oil in the pan or not. Okay. You can kind of see they're getting there. Okay. It was cool when I had them yesterday. The nutty flavor kind of comes out, which is it's really good. It's like every once in a while you get like a little crunch in there. Okay, so moving on. So we have everything except the lime and the seasonings. I'll trade you this for the seasoning. Okay, so I have a cheese thing for the limes, but you can also just squeeze them in there. Squeeze that in. Just squirt it on me. One. I also could use a spoon, serving spoon. I have one right there. So we're gonna use all of them. I don't have anything planned with the others, so we're using 2 limes. Our burgers are getting there. Everything might be done at the same time, which would be good. There's some lime on the burgers now also. Okay. So then we have that, we spoon, mixing, and we need about a half teaspoon of chili powder. And then a half salt just to taste. Thank you so much. So we have half for the chili powder, and they suggest half for salt. What I think I'm going to do is just, okay, so we have a half. So if you go to Mexico, or at least when I went, they were getting on the bus and they would serve us mangoes with chili powder on them. I don't know if some of you guys are from like down there and stuff. It's really good. You would be surprised. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little salt on there, probably less than what they call for, and just a dash of black pepper. Black pepper on your fruit, right? I would do. So, all right. Let's see how these are. Yeah, they're looking good. I'm going to check the temperature just to kind of see where we're at. Okay. So this is the chaat. It's kind of cool with the sweet potato. I haven't tried this one, so I'm excited to try with you. All right. All right, so let's just see how we're doing here. I'm going to try to stick the thermometer in the inside of it. How about if I turn it on first? So mushrooms, did you guys know that mushrooms every day when they're growing, once they stick out, they double in size every day, every 24 hours, they double in size until you pick them. Kind of cool. They grow that fast. And there's over 10,000 types too. So I got 131, 136, 137. I'm going to do that one a second longer. I wonder. This one's ready. 154, 156. Yeah, it'd be awesome. And then you want to scroll through. I was wondering, I know some of you guys were going to cook along with me, and I can't see everybody. I'd love, can you get that arrow and see? Yeah, see if anybody else is cooking along. Let me see. I see you guys. They're sharing. They're cooking. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. Next week, I'll try to pick really fun recipes that are easy. You guys will have to look at the site, and if you do see some that you like, we'll just do it. Yeah, they're ready. 163. Okay. Shut that off. Okay, so you could just serve this on lettuce. I was, yesterday I was like, I don't know if I want ketchup or mustard or what, but it didn't need anything for me. It just has really good flavor. So I think that's a wrap, you guys. And I hope, there's our things. I hope to see you guys next week for the protein. That I would really love that. So thank you, and thanks for going through my learning curve. And I'm sorry I didn't get you the recipe ingredients sooner. That would be my bad. It meant to go on Friday, and it did not. So really appreciate your patience with that. So that's that. Does anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts? Let's see. Trying to read.
Are you going to taste the chop?
You guys want me to? Yum yum. I suppose you guys didn't cook along. I wish you guys were here. So even if I do this one again with hands on, you guys all just have to register again. So Amanda, you want to come and try it? Oh, and the chop. That's what you said, not the chop. I was like, okay. Thanks, guys. I'm trying banana sweet potato. Strawberry. Oh, God. You know, the sweet potato just blends right in that.
I cooked
And you
along,
can kind of-
Andrea.
What?
I cooked along with you. The only thing I didn't do is put the patties in the pan because my husband can't eat till noon on his Zoom break.
Okay.
But it was really good.
Did you try this? Have you tried it yet? The chop?
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know if you can see.
It tastes like, the lime makes it like, oh yes, that looks good.
We
There's
cook a lot of
lime.
Indians, but I've never thought to do that the fruit
That's
way. Use
Yeah. It's really good. The lime, I don't even really taste the chili powder, but like the two together kind of make it, it's like, or at least the flavor that I got, it's almost like Sprite on it or something. It just it's like really good.
the fizz.
You guys will have to try that.
Thank you.
Like that would be, I think, a really fun one. Yes, and these are really good. Yeah, I would make these again too. I would try next time putting in even more mushrooms and seeing if they would still stay together. So they're so good for you. Okay, well that's all I have. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you a lot, and thank you for cooking along, you guys. Thank you. Let's see.